Minister, you referred me to go to the website, which I have done, and actually I've just received the information here, and I asked you who owns the licences. There's no indication whatsoever of names at all. Actually, the register does not list licences or details of owners, just by country. And actually that's what I have here that's just been given to me. And it says the country by 30th June 2022, foreign held water entitlement. And the Australian people might be interested in hearing this because I'm sure they're not all capable of rushing to their websites to try and find these sites. Canada was 833 gigalitres, United States of America 711 gigalitres, China 323 gigalitres, United Kingdom 315 gigalitres. You've got Singapore 174 gigalitres, France 159 gigalitres, Germany 154 gigalitres, Hong Kong 134, Switzerland 116, Netherlands 106. The total for the top 10 countries is 3,025 gigalitres. That's foreign interest in our water in Australia. It's not a renewable. This is. Well, it is renewable, actually, because it falls out of the sky for the use of Australian people, yet we have foreign ownership in our water that is actually taking billions of dollars out of this country every year and controlling our water. Australian people would be absolutely gobsmacked and disgusted to know that so much foreign ownership of our water is here, yet our own farming sector, who are going under on their knees in times of droughts when they want to run their businesses, and as I said with the dairy farmer, want to run their businesses here in Australia, and they can't get the water that they require to feed our nation and keep these communities viable that are dependent on water, because the farming sector goes under, the communities will die, because that's where their income comes from. Minister, why haven't we got a list of names? China, here. How do we know that it's not the CCP that own the water? How do we know who actually does own our water? Why do we have so much foreign ownership in our water? This water is really no one's to own and make a profit out of it. This water should be available to the Australian people and the communities, not to be traded. And you said earlier about the fact that you believe that the farming sector, to look after our farming sector, then why don't you go back to water with land? You have an entitlement. If you have a farming land and you are producing food here, why is it there not automatically an allocation of water that goes with that land? Would that be something that this government will actually look at? And I blame the Howard government for this. When they separated water from land in 2004, that's where the problem started. You can actually change this. You can actually make water allocation of the land. Anything above that, then fine. They can trade amongst each other and allocate the water. But why don't we get it out of the hands of foreign ownership? Why don't we put it back in the hands of the Australian people? Give it to our irrigators, give it to our farmers, give it to these communities. Let them own the water, not foreign ownership, that the water falls out of the sky. It doesn't belong to any individual and who pays the highest price for it. Will you consider giving back water with land and water entitlements to our farming sector and these communities?
Minister.
That's not our policy, Senator Hanson, and it's also, just for clarity, not the effect of the bill before us.
Senator Hanson.
You've actually just put a nail in the coffin of a lot of these communities and the farming sector out there, because it's not part of your policy. That's not what this is about. It's about coming up with the answers and working out problems and problem-solving in this nation to help all Australians. This government has no regard for the farming sector of this nation because you don't get the votes in those seats. You're not interested. There's another thing that I will tell this government what it can do, is that look at building other water resources, dams, putting other things into place that you will have water security in this nation. You haven't even considered that. You have no vision for the future. You put up policy in this place time and time and time again that you actually are amending or changing along the way. I asked you, have you consulted with the states? I don't believe you have, because my understanding is the states aren't happy with this deal that's been done. And all these amendments that are actually going forward, you know what? I don't believe the states are going to agree. Now that you've put up with all these amendments, what a bloody mess this is. An absolute mess. This Murray-Darling Basin plan is an absolute mess. And you haven't got it right. Another bill you have not got right because you haven't done the consultation. You haven't been out to these communities. You haven't spoken to these people. You haven't spoken to the irrigators, the farmers that you're driving under in these communities right across the whole sector, all because of South Australia wants your water to flow out to keep the silt clear. What a waste of water that is. You have no regard just for the water to flow out into the ocean without worrying about the communities. You're a hopeless government.